Basically, the thing I want you to take away from this whole thing is that if you meet a boy who can both sing and dance, you need to run into the opposite direction. Hello, class. I'm ready to admit that the Descendants movies are deeply important to me. And if you don't know what the Descendants are, it's probably time to get a retinol. Or you're like me and randomly binged literally all of them in one weekend while staying at the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid in Tennessee. We all have our own unique coping mechanisms with the passage of time, and this just happens to be mine. The Descendants is a series of musical DCOMs blatantly made in an attempt to capitalize off Monster High, except the characters in this version are the kids of Disney villains in increasingly poor quality wigs. These movies, I'm not kidding, cover everything from segregation, the prison industrial complex, to magical dancing nights. Like any vaguely successful thing that Disney has made in the last few decades, they have rebooted it in recent years with, of course, none of the original cast members and what feels like half of the already very minimal budget. This new trilogy, I won't say has lived up to the highs and lows of the original, and I especially say this because this is not a franchise known for its good wigs, but they put poor Malia Baker in wigs that change color, length, and texture every scene. Sometimes even between shots, her hair just magically transforms into something far worse than what you saw before. So this new franchise stars Kylie Control and Malia Baker, who are framed as the new best friend protagonists of this franchise. And although there is a Descendants 5 movie coming out fairly soon, it seems like press and promotion has been relatively quiet compared to the last one. And it's rumored that it is because there is some drama going on with the current cast. Malachi Barton is the lead of the Zombies franchise reboot, which is of course happening at the same time. We don't even have time to get into the zombies of it all, quite frankly. All you need to know is he's like the new it boy of Disney. He's very well known to children, very high ranked on Famous Birthday, but I had never seen this person a day in my life before all this. It is rumored that while the Zombies and the Descendants went on tour this summer all together, that Kylie and Malachi were dating, only for Malachi to then start dating Malia after him and Malia met on the set of Camp Rock 3. People speculate that this happened because one of Kylie's friends in DMs said to a fan that Malachi had been cheating on Kylie the entire relationship, which if true really puts a shame on the Zombies franchise legacy. But more than that, Kylie unfollowed Malachi and Malia and reposted a couple TikTok CapCut edits.
One girl's trash is another girl's trash too. Probably think he's gonna change for you.
Truly, this doesn't impact me or really anybody, but it does impact, I think, the possible quality of the Descendants movies going forward, and that is deeply important to me. More than that, it has been really funny to see the fan reaction to this, because I've seen this story before. I've grown up with it. I'm sorry, people are getting up in arms about the professionalism of a 22-year-old because she unfollowed her coworker and posted like 2 subtweets. Men used to go to war, and Lindsay Lohan used to crash Hilary Duff's movie premiere. T-shirts that Kevin Jonas wore used to be mainstream newsworthy. And let's talk about it. I wanted to walk you through the doomed Disney love triangles that raised me. In short, a situationship combined with Kenny Ortega choreography may just ruin your life, but also get you a record deal. But before we carry on, I need to talk about something that is deeply important to me, and that's bread. Wild Grain is the first Bake from Frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. All of their offerings have sourdough benefits and simple ingredients. Each box is sourced responsibly, supports the best small bakeries in the country, and with each box ordered, they donate 2 meals to the nonprofit of your choice. And their boxes are fully customizable to suit your needs, whether you want to try a classic, gluten-free, vegan, or their brand new protein box. With the terrible weather we've been having recently, getting vegan pizza, cookies, bread delivered to my door, let's just say it was much needed. And I have never found a plant-based croissant in the wild, let alone been able to successfully create them myself. So being able to take these out of the freezer and have it ready in 25 minutes was life-changing for me. If you want to check out Wild Grain, be sure to click on my link in the description to get $30 off your first box plus free croissants for life. And trust me, you do not want to miss their seasonal products. Thank you again to Wild Grain for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. This first one I wasn't fully sentient for in terms of the drama, but the people involved, some of my earliest memories.
Democrats have Republicans, Darth Vader has Luke Skywalker, and Lindsay Lohan has Hilary Duff.
While everyone else was, invading Iraq or whatever else y'all were doing in the early 2000s, I was trying to solve the mystery of whether Lindsay Lohan was one person or 2 people. Hilary Duff, Lizzie McGuire, renowned dancer, gay ally from day one.
Yeah, it's totally gay. You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top?
Oh, yeah.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
And Lindsay Lohan, the cool girl who everyone wanted to be until the world decided that she was just the epitome of everything wrong with society. I cannot stress this enough. In the 2000s, America was breaking the Geneva Convention like it was happy hour at Chili's, and we were all up in a tizzy because Lindsay was dating a woman. The real story should have been that she was dating a DJ. This story takes place before all of that, at really the height of their careers, which is crazy to think about because they were quite literally teenagers. There is also a third person to this story, of course, as triangles tend to go, and that is Aaron Carter. Aaron Carter was also very famous in this sphere at the time, but for some reason he has just completely been memory hold for me. All you need to know is that he was the teen heartthrob, and he first met Hilary Duff when they were just 13 years old. He guest starred as himself on the Lizzie McGuire Christmas special in 2003, which was Hilary's first ever kiss. And as a young child, this episode was mind-blowing to me. They went to events together, they held hands, normal young relationship stuff, except of course they were some of the most famous people in the world. And I don't even mean that in the realm of kids famous. Young Disney stars at that time, even though a lot of them were minors, were covered in adult tabloids, often as if they were adults. Hilary and Aaron dated for about a year and a half when, according to Aaron, he gets a little bored, so he started getting to know Lindsay while still dating Hilary. Mind you, he was 17 when he said this quote, so you can't expect much. So while Aaron is still dating Hilary, he flies out to Lindsay Lohan's Sweet 16, hookah shell necklace and all, and photos come out of him and Lindsay literally posed up like they're at prom together. Instagram wasn't a thing, thank God, but these pictures were definitely printed. Imagine being a teenage girl and seeing your boyfriend just posed up with somebody else like this, somebody who is also practically your coworker. But shortly after Lindsay and Aaron started dating, he goes back to Hilary, only to then cheat on Hilary again with another person. We now, of course, sadly know that on top of just being a teenage boy at that time, Aaron was struggling with a lot more serious issues in the background that I'm sure were much more weighty on his mind than the center of this love triangle. And really, Aaron isn't the center of this drama, even though he is the starting point. It really just becomes Lindsay versus Hilary hating one another, certainly in the media at the time.
Lindsay Lohan and Hilary Duff are like the Superman and Lex Luthor of the teen pop world.
Hilary talked to Allure in 2008 and said, "I've never stolen anyone's boyfriend. I don't know how you do that." She was talking about it and I wasn't. It made us both look bad and put up a big weirdness. So while this may have initially started from a boy that they both liked at 15 years old, by the end that was a very small part of the drama. In 2003, Vanity Fair did the iconic Reigning Teen photo shoot, which again really does speak to the cultural impact teenage girls had at that time. These teenage girls were just as much major celebrities as any adult A-lister at that time. This photo shoot is also where Hilary and Lindsay meet in person for the first time. Mind you, this is smack in the middle of the Aaron Carter back and forth, so their beef was already major news and very much a real source of tension between them that day. Mandy Moore says that she remembers there being major fights over a boy that day, but she couldn't remember who that was between. And Hilary also, looking back on this day, did not have fond things to say, despite this being a pretty pivotal point in her career.
What about when you were on this cover?
Like, explain career high, like personal high or just like a big achievement? Like, I remember being like, this is cool, I was included in this. But no, this was a very high stress, anxiety inducing day. Also, Mandy and I are great friends now, so this is very funny.
Perhaps it's because of how this day went that Hilary decided that she would make the first move in the war. In August of 2003, Lindsay's movie Freaky Friday premiered, and her co-star Chad Michael Murray brought Hilary Duff as his date.
At the time, Lindsay Lohan having a feud with Hilary Duff, you bring Hilary Duff as your date to the premiere, pandemonium breaks out. It was like a riot at the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Things went crazy.
I'm not up to date.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You knew? Didn't you know? I'm 50.
It's funny because even though Hilary was Chad's date, pretty much all of the pictures from this night are just Hilary with the most mischievous smirk on her face, Chad Michael Murray nowhere in sight. In December of 2003, Lindsay fights back. She crashes Hilary's Cheaper by the Dozen premiere, and reportedly, Hilary and her mom try unsuccessfully to kick Lindsay out of the premiere. That is before they just gave up entirely and left Hilary's own premiere early. When asked about the supposed beef between the two, Lindsay said, "I have no problem with her." The journalist then asked, "Well, does Hilary have a problem with you?" And Lindsay replied, "Maybe. I don't know. I don't think she should. She doesn't need to do that. Her career's going great. I don't think it helps to try and get people kicked out of premieres and stuff like that." A rep for Duff and her mother denied reports that they tried to bar Lohan from the LA Cheaper by the Dozen premiere. "I wish her the best of luck. There's nothing else to say about that. But if my mom got involved in something, I'd be very embarrassed. My mom would never do that." It's honestly sad because in retrospect, I think Lindsay has since said that she wished her mom was more involved in things in terms of just protecting Lindsay. But again, that is not the story of the time. It's about how these teenage girls just can't stand each other. Crashing each other's premiere was like the modern day equivalent of the space race. The world was watching and only one of them could come out on top. Even people like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were involved in this drama. She said while filming Mean Girls in 2003, there was one day where Lindsay tried to explain to Amy and me her beef with Hilary Duff, but we couldn't crack it. Remember Chad Michael Murray? Remember when he played a cult leader on Riverdale who, after getting exposed for harvesting people's organs, tried to escape via rocket ship, only to be gunned down by Betty's mom? Chad Michael Murray starred in a Cinderella story with Hilary Duff just a year after working with Lindsay on Freaky Friday. I do think it's important context to remind you that Chad would have been around 21, 22 when he played both of their romantic leads, and they were 15 and 17. Lindsay reportedly called Chad while he was filming Cinderella story just to shit talk Hilary. And again, Chad, an adult, was like, you know what, hell yeah, what else am I doing? Reporters were also so messy at this time because any interview he gave, they would ask which girl he liked more. Which girl's prettier? My favorite interview was someone asked him to compare Lindsay and Hilary, and Chad's response was just, well, they're both minors. They have that in common. Also, in 2004, Hilary was up for the lead role in Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. But because her mom was allegedly very demanding during negotiations for a Lizzie McGuire spinoff, Disney decided that they were just totally done working with Hilary, and the role went to Lindsay. This role probably would have served as a good transition for Hilary into a slightly more young adult sphere. Lindsay at this time was able to play a little bit more of a grown-up role like Katie in Mean Girls, whereas Hilary was stuck in this good girl child star box. And vice versa, Lindsay got so much backlash just for starring in Herbie Fully Loaded and having boobs at the same time. The horror. And what better stage to play out all of this drama than Saturday Night Live?
You might also know me from the pages of Us Weekly as the girl who's always fighting with Hilary Duff. But Hilary and I are not mad at each other. We were in a fight because we both dated the same guy and the whole thing was very high school.
In Lindsay's opening monologue, she says that she's putting the feud aside and brings out Rachel Dratch to give, I would say, a half-hearted impression of Hilary. It's mostly just reciting Hilary's lyrics back at her.
Glad we're clearing things up.
I agree, Lindsay. Our whole feud is so yesterday. So yesterday, so yesterday. I'm just a bird that's already flown away.
And I'm sure this was meant to be a drag, but to be honest, this sketch isn't even a sketch. It's just, it's kind of nothing. This is the kind of SNL humor that they usually save for like the awkward promo videos they do every week. Hilary, though, was not happy with this.
When I heard that Lindsay was going to be on Saturday Night Live, I knew she was going to make fun of me. I wasn't honored. I don't think it's an honor to be made fun of on Saturday Night Live. We didn't do anything derogatory towards her. I'm not here to talk bad about her like she talks bad about me all the time. And I just knew that it was going to happen. I'm sorry if she felt offended, but I thought things were cool. So, Hilary, I don't want to start anything again.
The worst thing you can do, though, in a public fight is show that you're bothered, which Hilary did quite often throughout this. In an interview shortly after, she just said, "Sometimes I hate Lindsay Lohan," and allegedly banned Lindsay from the Cinderella story premiere, which unfortunately ended a time-honored tradition between the two. In December of 2004, a 25-year-old Joel Madden was dating a 16-year-old Hilary Duff. Actually get a job, stay away from her? At one of his concerts, Lindsay's 8-year-old brother came up and asked Joel for an autograph, and reportedly, Joel refused to give him that autograph until his sister apologized to Hilary, which then drove this small child to tears. And this is why we don't need grown men in teenage girls' business. Like most things, this feud eventually just fizzled out. Paris and Hilary were fighting. Paris and Lindsay were fighting.
Paris
I'm sorry, Lindsay, what did you say?
The what?
Lindsay, Paris is the what? This is the cut?
Hilary got into it with Faye Dunaway.
Did the Faye comments affect you any at all?
Not really. I mean, I think that my fans that are going to go see the movie don't even know who she is, so, you know, I think it was a little unnecessary, but I might be mad if I look like that now too, so.
It was just a busy time for them, and eventually Hilary declared to People magazine that it was over. Lindsay was even invited to Hilary's release party for her album Dignity. Hilary said, "She's really fun. We were hanging out the other night, and she's a nice girl."
The 7 things I hate about you.
The inescapable Hailey, Justin, Selena drama that is somehow still going strong almost a decade after the back and forth between these people really makes me yearn for the simpler times when our Disney pop princesses just openly beefed with one another via YouTube videos. No one had to analyze outfits or tattoos. It was right before our eyes because internet media training wasn't even invented yet. I think it goes with little explanation that Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus were both leads of some of the most iconic Disney franchises to date, with Miley especially basically acting as, dare I say, the subdued precursor to JoJo Siwa. Tours, backpacks, lip smackers, award-winning video games.
Hey, who's that?
Oh, that's Travis.
I want a cowboy.
And before Selena Gomez led her own show with Wizards of Waverly Place, she tested for several Disney pilots and actually guest starred on Hannah Montana, ironically enough, as Hannah's rival Michaela Marie. Despite Selena being a singer, making many songs with Disney in the future, on this episode, they opted to have Selena lip sync to the voice of a very clearly adult woman.
If you've been had a heart, you've been mine, I know. I need you to see, I need you in me.
Between that and the fedora, Selena was set up. Nick Jonas of the Jonas Brothers was the teen heartthrob of my sentient childhood. No one my age remembers 9/11, but they do remember where they were when they learned that Nick Jonas had type 1 diabetes. Couldn't even look at my high fructose corn syrup laden French toast sticks for a week. It was sick. Everyone wanted to date this boy, and if they didn't want to date this boy, it was because they were more of a Joe girl. Like any great love story, this begins on a fateful day in 2006 at the Elizabeth Glazer's Pediatric AIDS Foundation. In the memoir Miley wrote at 16 years old, some would say the best time to write a memoir really, Miley wrote, "I knew from a friend, Vanessa Hudgens, that he thought I was pretty. He came up to me with a bunch of guy friends, his brothers, and introduced himself. Instantly, I wanted them all to go away and just be with him. He started to shake my hand and I said, I don't do handshakes, I do hugs. When he hugged me, I noticed his scratchy shirt and I blurted out, I hate your shirt. So that was the first thing I said to him. I hate your shirt. Like a lot of first relationships, Miley and Nick basically started dating the day that they met each other, but also these were two of the most booked and busy kids in the world, so I don't really know how much time they would have spent together, but there's nothing more romantic, I think, than brand synergy. Miley was set to go on her world-breaking tour, the Best of Both Worlds tour, and who better to open than these boys? And to promote that, the brothers guest starred on Hannah Montana in August of 2007.
Dudes, it's Hannah Montana.
We're such big fans.
We love your music. You're pretty.
One of the most viewed episodes in the entire series, and the show seemingly wrote in aspects of Nick and Miley's real relationship. However, touring is incredibly taxing for adult relationships, let alone 15-year-olds. During the tour, Miley learned that her friend Vanessa passed away from cystic fibrosis and had to carry on performing. Nick was very supportive of her at that time, but this was, as I said, a very intense time for both of them at a really young age. Like most teenage relationships, eventually it fell apart. She wrote, Prince Charming and I broke up on December 19th, 2007. The hardest day ever. My life felt like it had been ground to a halt, but the rest of the world kept right on rolling. I was on tour. People were counting on me. But my head, no, my heart was dizzy. She did still have to perform with Nick for several weeks after this, which you can tell was uncomfortable for really everyone. Eventually, the Jonas Brothers left the tour early and were replaced by Allie and AJ, which coincidentally, AJ at that time had just broken up with Joe Jonas, because there are like 5 people in this circle of Disney actors. If there's one blessing in the Nick Jonas breakup, it's that without him, who knows if we would have gotten this picture. I wanted to put that picture on the screen, but her eyes kept overpowering mine. The camera would not stop focusing on her, and I lost the battle. After her and Nick broke up, Miley decided that she needed a change. I dyed my hair black. When we were dating, Nick wanted me to get highlights, and so I did that, and I got myself looking great. And then on the day we broke up, I was like, I want to make my hair black now. I don't want to look pretty. I want to look hardcore. I was rebelling against everything Nick wanted me to be. And then I was like, I've got to be by myself for now, and just figure out who I really am. And you know who else had a hardcore hair color change at that time?
Going on.
Where's that inspiration coming from?
I don't know. I like a little edge and a little pop in my hair, so I wanted to add something different, especially for the Teen Vogue party.
That being said, it was pretty evident that Miley was not quite over the relationship. On her YouTube channel, The Miley and Mandy Show, they referenced him multiple times.
This is
The Miley and Mandy Show!
I'm Jonas obsessed.
Can you say irresistible?
Irresistible.
Miley would show his picture on screen. There were a lot of times where Miley was seen out in public wearing Nick's dog tag. Nick's dog tag contained his pertinent medical information in case he ever collapsed somewhere from his diabetes. And I hope that he just gave her a spare one because Miley, I feel like he might have needed that. Like, it's a little different from borrowing someone's hoodie. Like, imagine Miley being spotted around town with her ex's CPAP machine. But despite Miley gallivanting around town with Nick's medical information, by March of 2008, the word on the street was that Nick was seeing his new girlfriend, Selena Gomez. And be honest, do we think it was because of the blue she had going on? Like Miley and Mandy, Demi Lovato and Selena also had a YouTube channel where they would post their XD so random content.
Hey! You're listening to Delilah Radio on 108.6.
That's right, beautiful.
I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yes, maybe it's cringy, and maybe the microphone quality irreparably damaged my young eardrums at the time.
America's Next Top Model. Pretty cool.
But this was stand-up comedy to me. This was everything.
Yo. Yo, yo. Yeah, I said it twice. Got a problem with that? Wow.
So, I got this really cool shirt today, and it made me want to give a shout out to my boys.
Who's that?
Power Rangers! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute. Are you ready?
It's Morphin time! Yes! I love Power Rangers. I've always wanted to be the red one, and that's a boy, but I don't care. I like that color. I wanted to be the pink one, which is ironically enough, because now I'm in all black. Which, speaking of, a lot of you have been saying that I've been wearing a lot of makeup, which is, it's all right. I agree, but this is a lot. And this is how I used to wear it, like back in the day in my all black, all dark makeup days. Yeah, but I guess you guys don't like that anymore.
Demi, look at me.
It's okay.
Look at me. Demi, look at me. Do I have anything in my teeth?
No. Do I have anything in mine? No. You sure? Yeah, because that's a trick question. Because I fixed my gap.
Whoa, Demi Lovato had a gap?
No one has the bell rings.
I thought they digitally added that.
Because that would make sense.
Only the very next day, Miley and Mandy, unprompted, post this.
Yo!
Yo, yo. Yeah, I said it twice. You got a problem with that?
Yeah, I do. You know why?
Why?
You got a gap.
I got it fixed.
You had a gap back in the day.
I got it fixed. Stop.
Okay, so listen.
What's up?
I got a really emo shirt today.
Emo.
Yeah, like emo amazing.
Emo.
You don't know what it is? You don't know what it is? You don't know what it is?
Yeah, what is it?
Ninja Turtles! The mutant kind! The Teenage Turtles! I always wanted to be that one.
Donatello.
That one.
I wanted to be like the purple one, which is ironic because I'm wearing all black.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, like, speaking of all black, some people say my makeup's too dark, and like, I don't really see it. So.
Oh wait, look at me. Look at me.
Yeah.
That's not my teeth.
No. Do I?
No, you're good. That was a trick question.
Oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
That was a trick question. That was a trick question.
Oh, because
that was a trick question. That's not fair. That's not cool. That wasn't funny, Mandy. It was a trick question. We don't do trick questions on our show, got it?
Yeah.
We don't do those. You don't know why?
Why?
You don't know why?
Why?
You don't know why?
People can get their feelings hurt. No, but really, is my makeup too dark? Let me know.
You wanna know why? You fixed your gap. It wasn't there on Saved by the Bell. It wasn't there. It wasn't there on As the Bell Rings. Okay, it wasn't there on As the Bell. That's more back in the 80s. Wait,
I was not Saved by the Bell.
Wait, no, that was a trick question because you fixed your gap. You had that on Saved by the Bell.
I did on Saved by the Bell.
I thought it was like digitizedly put on.
All I know is that my makeup looks hot, and I don't care if y'all don't like it.
Whatever. Well, get ready to rock.
You do not understand how deeply serious this was at the time. Now, Miley was quick to say that this wasn't a dig, even though it looked like a dig. Don't even know how you would say that. She clearly was just promoting their channel and even shouted them out for half a second at the end. Miley's team immediately sent her out on a not particularly convincing press tour.
Also, I know you guys know a whole lot about me and Mandy, so we want to thank you guys for keeping up on us and knowing us personally. That's pretty cool, but I don't think that you guys know everything you think you do. Me and Dimmy and Selena, we're all really great friends. You know, we're all a big family at the Disney Channel. So we definitely weren't being rude or mean to them. We would never want to hurt our friends' feelings. And so we were just joking around. And they're laughing too, so it's okay to laugh.
And we think they're beautiful and so talented.
And so it's only fun to get to mess around if they've actually got some talent to work with. So I thought that was really fun. It gave us a little bit of a challenge and was actually a little bit of a story. So that was fun for us.
And Selena was very much the same.
News lately with this whole Miley drama. What's your thoughts on it?
It is. It's kind of weird, that happened ages ago. So the fact that it's getting attention and stuff is kind of weird. There's no feud, so for us, it's kind of like we just laugh about it because there's nothing there.
You guys are like good friends.
Yeah, we're on an okay level. It's cool.
There is no war in Bossing Say. But anyone who read Tiger Beat magazine, we knew. In June of 2008, the Jonas Brothers released Burnin' Up, a song rumored to be written about Miley, but starred Selena as the love interest in the music video. Which, if true, oh my gosh, Selena, get out of there. Not even 10 days later, Miley hit back with the 7 Things music video. A song about how no matter how annoying she finds this guy, she still loves him. She includes a picture of her and Nick. She's wearing his dog tag. It's very obvious who she's referencing. And I do not remember that they had children sobbing the song along with Miley in this music video. I don't know what was going on with that directing choice. Miley said, "I was angry when I wrote 7 Things I Hate About Him. I wanted to punish him, to get him back for hurting me. It started with a list of what I hate, but I'm not a hater. My heart knew from the start that this was going to turn into a love song. Why does he get a love song? Because I don't hate him. I won't let myself hate anybody. That's not the way my heart works." Nick initially and very unsuccessfully tried to deny that the song was about him, and he said it couldn't possibly be about him because his friends aren't jerks. But then he said, "I'm very disappointed in Miley. I can't see the good in her taking the relationship public. The song and her behavior makes me really sad. We promised at the time that the relationship was just a thing between us, and that nobody else should know about our love. And now this, but fortunately, I have my brothers, Joe and Kevin." Folks, don't you hate when you date a pop star and they write songs about you? Anyway, play Sorry by the Jonas Brothers. On August 4th at the Teen Choice Award, Selena, Demi, and Miley's managers had them all pose for a picture together. Because see, everything's cool, everything's fine. Not even a week later though, Kevin Jonas wore a shirt that said Team Demi and Selena. Again, men should stay out of women's business. Miley at this time, is she being very openly messy? Yes, but being messy is not a crime. She gives an interview with 17 magazine, mind you, while Nick and Selena are very much together, in which Miley says, "Yeah, maybe Nick and I will get back together. Maybe I'll marry him. And who knows what the future holds." The Jonas Brothers in 2008 were just fumbling pop star after pop star because in November, Taylor Swift posted this.
See, this one even comes with a phone. See, so he can break up with other dolls. Stay away from him. Okay?
And released the song Forever and Always about her breakup with Joe Jonas. Selena at that time, perhaps in response to this song, but also probably in response to Miley's song 7 Things, said, "If a boy hurts me, I don't write a song about it." Which is funny because we now know that Selena and Taylor were really the only friendship to survive this whole era. But allegedly, Miley wrote an email to Selena defending Miss Taylor Swift, where she reminded Selena that what comes around goes around, and declared it will only be a matter of time before she joins the ranks of girls who have been dumped by a Jonas brother. And when that happens, me and Taylor will be right there to offer you a Kleenex while we sing a song about your broken heart. I don't know if this is true. I like to imagine that it is. And I like to imagine that their email exchanges were in the vein of Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr before their duel to the death. Because when you're a famous teenager in 2008, it really is that serious. But alas, in February of 2009, Nick and Selena break up. Actually, just a few weeks after, Miley and Selena, Taylor, Demi were all seen together at a Grammys after party. But at that point, 16-year-old Miley was dating grown adult Justin Gaston. Get a job, stay away from her. Justin Gaston was also seen out with Selena. Please take several steps away from the teenage girls. 15 years ago is not that long ago, people. Why was this just like a normal accepted thing? Luckily though, Miley and Justin's relationship does not really last, and by March of 2009, Miley and Nick are seen back together at the Kids' Choice Awards. And Selena tweets, "Was I wrong for refusing to be a seat filler? I was just tired of trying to be someone I clearly wasn't. I'm sorry." Writing. Studio time! She is so unbothered you wouldn't even believe. So if you're her guardian angel, who's mine? I love how easy it is for you to let me suffer, but not her. To ring in the new year, 2010, Selena sits and stares awkwardly as Justin Bieber performs One Less Lonely Girl, which, watching that back now, feels like that one scene from Interstellar. You just want to jump through that screen and shake her. But the next day, she flies out to see Nick Jonas because they're maybe getting back together. This is a strange time because people spot Selena crying at Nick's concert. Maybe happy tears, maybe sad tears. They're seen disassociating in Central Park together. And at her concert in February, Selena says this.
I wrote this song because I feel like a lot of people tend to change themselves for, well, let's be honest, a boy. And that's what I did. I'll never make that mistake again, though. I'm sorry I'm not what you wanted me to be, but I'm not going to apologize for who I am.
Which seems very similar to what Miley said after their first breakup. But Selena and Nick are still supposedly together at this point. On top of all of this, Miley, Selena, Demi, the Jonas Brothers are all filming the Send It On music video together. Wizards of Waverly Place and Hannah Montana has a crossover in which Miley and Selena do not interact even once. Miley and Justin Bieber perform We Are the World together, while there are rumors that Selena and Justin might be dating. Miley gets hacked, and explicit photos she took as a teenager are released without her consent. She does salvia, and then she loses a role to Selena after she posts a picture with a penis cake. We can't even pose next to a birthday cake anymore. Much like Lindsay Lohan, Miley is framed as this deplorable bad girl, and this love triangle is somehow just more evidence of that, whereas Selena is this perfect good girl angel in comparison, which may seem nicer, but honestly that's also an impossible standard to live up to. Also, mind you, all of these people are wearing purity rings at this time, which the media was very much obsessed with in a very creepy way. There is an ancient video on my channel all about that if you're curious. But these people are at every single event together, filming together all of the time. Everybody knows everybody, and somehow Taylor Swift is always there. It is absolute chaos. Nick and Miley did briefly get back together after this, and for the next 2 years there was the occasional subtweet dig between Selena and Miley, but eventually their frontal lobes developed. They all moved on. They all have nice things to say about each other. Selena and Miley did a live stream together in 2020 where Selena talked about her bipolar diagnosis, and when Miley and Selena were scheduled to release singles on the same day, they promoted them together. And Nick Jonas is at the Waffle House.
You said forever, now I drive alone past your street.
Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, and Joshua Bassett really do speak to this shift in fan culture and in media training because in hindsight, these three were incredibly mild. The internet, however, was not. One of Olivia Rodrigo's first acting projects was her incredible role as American Girl Doll of the Year, MasterChef Junior champion Gracie, with eyes like, well, we needed to put color contacts over those color contacts. She then made her way over to the Disney Channel as the star of Bizaardvark with her co-star, Jake Paul. Just imagine, Jake Paul would clock in for a shift at the Disney Channel with Olivia Rodrigo, and then he would go home and set mattresses on fire with teens he recruited from the internet. Everyone wants to know who Olivia Rodrigo is dating, what her songs are about. I want to know what that work experience was like. Sabrina Carpenter, of course, famed hater of autism in Girl Meets World.
They want to see if I have autism. You don't. I might have a type of autism called Asperger's syndrome. You don't.
By this point in the story, she was out of the Disney circuit opening for Ariana Grande, but generally, even though she had a lot of releases, she wasn't really being pushed or promoted outside of the teens who grew up seeing her on TV. One of those teens just so happened to be Olivia.
Who are you most excited to see perform tonight?
Sabrina Carpenter.
Why by Sabby? Guys, did you see her on Jimmy Fallon? That was so cool. I was like, yes, go Sabrina.
Joshua Bassett was on High School Musical, the series. I had no interest in watching High School Musical, the series, but then the pandemic happened. You know, like a lot of people, my internship got canceled. I had a lot of free time on my hands. And what really got me was that one of the lead characters on that show just had a song that she wrote go viral on TikTok.
I found a guy, told me I was a star.
That song was on the show, plus even more of her original work. So I watched that dang show just for Olivia Rodrigo, not even knowing that she was going to be who she became. Like any romantic leads in TV or movies, there were always rumors that Olivia and Josh were also dating off-screen. They co-wrote a song together for the season 1 finale. They described each other as best friends. But of course, with filming indefinitely delayed in 2020, they weren't seen together for quite a while. They do, however, have some very interesting, in retrospect, Zoom interviews.
See Nini and Ricky dealing with a bad breakup. Did you guys ever experience something like that?
Like in life? Yeah, I mean, of course, we all went to high school, you know? It's like, yeah, I think that's tricky, especially, you know, when they're all in the same circle, sort of dealing with that breakup. But you know, I think it's very interesting to see like how the back and forth between Nini and Ricky and how they kind of figure out their incredibly complicated relationship. Yeah.
Do you guys have any advice for people that are going through something similar?
I think that it's for me. I think it's so important, and something that I've been like learning is that you are not your relationships with other people, and you are not how other people think of you, and you know, other people's reactions or whatever have absolutely nothing to do with you. I think for so long I like put who I am into the eyes of boys and other people, and that's just doesn't do anyone any good.
Oh my God, Olivia, that was I felt it in my heart.
We're all getting through it together. Listen to some good breakup songs and just know you're not alone.
In June of 2020, Sabrina and Josh are spotted for the first time in public at a Black Lives Matter protest. Hey guys, why are we taking pictures of slightly famous people at a Black Lives Matter protest just so we can speculate about their relationship? I think there might be more pressing issues at hand. In July, Joshua releases a music video with a faceless woman behind the camera, who the CI agents of Twitter discover is Sabrina via nail identification. They also match up the tiling on her roof as the one that he's currently filming on. Imagine the crime clearance rate we'd have in America if Twitter did the investigating. Shortly after, Olivia releases a teaser of a new unreleased song.
Got my driver's license last week, something we always talked about.
This was actually pretty par for the course with her. Actually, her and Josh spoke in interviews about how Josh had pushed her to write songs every day in quarantine, and they both would release short snippets of music, some that they would go on to release later and some that have just been lost to time. On August 15th of 2020, Sabrina and Josh were spotted in public for the second time, and the day after, Olivia posts this sad muffin video where she says, "You think you can hurt my feelings? I wrote this song." Besides Josh and Sabrina posting for Halloween together, Sabrina's laugh occasionally in the background of Josh's videos, really all three of these people are incredibly quiet. That is until January 8th of 2021. Olivia's song Instantly is the biggest pop culture moment of a year that has barely started. I mean, it feels silly to explain because it's just so obvious why this song resonated so much, but it just represents everybody's first heartbreak so well. I'm honestly lucky that this song didn't exist in high school for me because I would have just fallen to the floor. I think anyone can relate to being in love with somebody who has seemingly moved on with someone cooler than you, and I think that's important to emphasize. This song is so focused on Olivia's own heartbreak. Sure, her later releases on Sour speak to more resentment in that relationship, but this first song, Driver's License, is not the least bit mean-spirited to anybody. She quite literally says that she still loves this. It even gets a shout out from Taylor Swift. Notably, there is one key lyric change from the last time people heard this song.
And you're probably with that brunette girl, the one I always thought about.
Despite neither relationship really being public, fans quickly assume that this song is about Joshua dating Sabrina sometime after he dated Olivia. In early 2021, the internet was so starved for drama, and it was so easy to match these lyrics to real people in Olivia's orbit that people interpreted these lyrics in, I think, the most scandalous way that they possibly could. And it didn't help that a lot of people either saw themselves as Olivia or saw her as a little sister. I think there was a lot of projection happening at the time.
She's so much older than me. She's everything I'm insecure about.
Even though the song didn't reference cheating in any sort of way, Sabrina, being 22, only 4 years older than Olivia, was seen as almost this predatory person who stole this 17-year-old's boyfriend, despite that not seeming to be the case, and despite Sabrina also just being a very young person as well. It also didn't help that Sabrina's own ex-boyfriend posted on his Instagram story with the song Driver's License, which again seemed to fulfill people's idea that Sabrina was this mean, horrible person. Joshua, the internet was just calling for his head. And that is in spite of him publicly promoting and enjoying the song. Just a week later, Joshua released a song called Lie, 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 which, you know, the title certainly makes people assume it's a response. I think that's fair. However, if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, you would realize that they wouldn't have had the time for him to write the song, record the song, do promo pictures, and film a music video all within a week. This song was written years ago, and while I'm sure the timing of the release was certainly meant to capitalize on the attention by his label, the title seemed more like an unfortunate coincidence than anything else. He was asked directly at the time if he would make a response to Driver's License and said, "There's no response to be made," noting that Driver's License was Rodrigo's story to tell. He then added, "I hope people don't forget the value that her and Sabrina bring to the world outside of the drama, and I hope people will look at the depth of who they are instead of just the surface level gossip." The first real response, if you will, to Driver's License was then on January 22nd with Skin. Listen, I love Sabrina's work, her work before this song, her work after this song. I still do not think that this is her best work. And I really do think the reason for that is that this was clearly just a free flow of a lot of emotions that she didn't really have time to edit. Skin is a confusing song because I don't think that she has parsed through her feelings towards Olivia or the situation.
Maybe we could have been friends if I met you in another life.
Like, she talks about wanting to be friends with Olivia and hoping that they can laugh about this, but there's also lyrics that seem to harbor more resentment towards the situation, like the infamous line, "Maybe you didn't mean it, maybe blonde was the only rhyme," which immediately gets harped on because blonde isn't used as a rhyme. Moreover, "maybe Olivia didn't mean it" seems to imply that Olivia was making a dig that doesn't exist. Except we do know that the original lyric to that song was brunette, and arguably the lyric change from brunette to blonde, even though it does just objectively flow better, is what brought Sabrina into this media circus. Olivia couldn't have known that that's what would happen at that time, but I do think that that is probably what Sabrina was getting at with this lyric, and maybe it just wasn't articulated in the clearest way.
Why was it important for you to reference the blonde lyric in your song?
Because I guess people care. And I was like curious as to why people cared. It's not for me to say, you know, who is or it isn't about, because it's not my story. That's not my narrative. I think I came at it from a very honest place of saying, like, I don't think anyone meant any hard feelings, and I don't think that that's what it is about. We're all just telling our truth.
This song also shifts to, I think, larger feelings towards the online hate mob. And I think where people get confused is it's not always clear if she's talking about the hate mob or if she's talking to Olivia when the chorus comes in.
You can try to get under my skin.
Because if you interpret the chorus as directed at Olivia, it seems pretty mean-spirited and seems to take driver's license as some sort of personal attack when it was just a heartfelt song about Olivia's own heartbreak. But it could just as easily be a response to the general public who are absolutely trying to get under Sabrina's skin.
I genuinely was coming from a place as a 21-year-old that is navigating her feelings and was going through a lot in my personal life. And the reoccurring theme was that I was allowing people to get under my skin. And so I just I wrote from that place. People will make a narrative out of something always, you know, and I think this was like a really interesting song for people to kind of misinterpret and make it into something that it wasn't really supposed to be in the first place. But I've just been enjoying making music.
Even if you interpret the chorus as being directed at Olivia, it's a pretty mild diss, if anything. But that's not how people take it. There's also this line.
Don't drive yourself insane.
It's interesting to look back on because nowadays everybody knows that Sabrina's lyrics are so like wink, wink, nod, nod. I think a lot of these lyrics in her song were meant to be more lighthearted than people took it as. But people took it so seriously and they took it as a direct attack from a grown woman on a young teenage girl. And at that time, any perceived slight on Olivia was never going to end well, whether that was Sabrina's intention or not. Sabrina did clarify what this song meant to her a few days later in an Instagram post where she said, "I wasn't bothered by a few lines in a magnificent song and wrote a diss track about it. I was at a tipping point in my life for countless reasons. So I was inspired to do what I usually do to cope, write something that I wish I could have told myself in the past. People can only get to you if you give them power to. And a lot of people were trying to get to me. The song isn't calling out one single person. Some lines address a specific situation, while other lines address plenty of other experiences I've had this past year. It also shows that many things actually have gotten under my skin, and I'm still learning to not give other people so much power over my feelings. I know a lot of you struggle with the same thing. I don't want this to become an endless cycle, so please don't take this as an opportunity to send more hate anyone's way. Lots of love to you all. Thank you for letting me grow." But even honestly, if this song was directed at Olivia and did show resentment towards Olivia, I don't think that that's like such a criminal response for which she needed to be chased off the internet. Because of a song Olivia wrote, Sabrina became one of the most talked about people in the world just for the crime of dating a boy that Olivia also dated. I think on a personal level, especially when this song was written, it would have been understandable that Sabrina might not feel positively towards Olivia, even if that wasn't the girl's way to think, or even if that wasn't the most rational way to think, because presumably Olivia wouldn't have done that intentionally. Sometimes I think we hold celebrities, especially girls like Olivia and Sabrina, to a standard that we don't even hold ourselves. Because who among us hasn't irrationally hated the new partner of someone we dated, or the ex of someone we dated, even in normal scenarios? I don't think that lyrics in songs need to be perfectly morally correct to express how someone is feeling. At the end of the day, these were very stressed out young people who were expected to be both incredibly vulnerable and honest in their music, while at the same time have perfectly curated PR responses to go with it. And that was just never going to happen, even though I do think that they all tried. Olivia is asked if she would make a diss track in return to Skin, which she very quickly shuts down.
You know, and obviously there's been a response song. Would you ever do a response song to the response song?
Oh, it's an interesting question. I actually don't know her at all. I think we've met once or twice in passing, but I've never had a conversation with her. So I don't think I could write a song that was meaningful or emotional about somebody that I don't know. But I think artists should be able to write about whatever they want to write about.
And I do think it's worth mentioning, and you may have noticed from all these statements, that not one of them ever mentions or confirms that these songs are about each other, even though it seems like an open secret. On January 29th, Sabrina and Josh announced that they would be collabing on a song for Josh's upcoming EP, although that very quickly got scrapped after a lot of public backlash. Joshua said, "I didn't want my EP to be overshadowed by some other narrative that people were trying to make. I really want the focus to be on the art instead of some of the talk and chatter. You shouldn't live to please everybody, but at the same time, there are ways to be sensitive to situations where maybe we both know has a better chance at a different time. It was very much a mutual conversation about what is best right now for everybody and this whole situation." On April 21st of 2021, Olivia released Deja Vu, the follow-up single to Driver's License, which, given both the pressure of having such a big first song and the internet's reaction to it, Olivia wasn't even sure if she wanted to release it. There was so much drama that was around Driver's License and so much hate. She worried that putting out Deja Vu would mean she was playing into this drama, love triangle, let's hate on other girls thing. I didn't want to do that. I never write any of my songs from that point of view because that's not how I feel. On May 21st of 2021, Olivia Rodrigo released her debut album, Sour, which broke the record for biggest opening week for an album by a female artist. This album was everywhere, and I actually feel like such a fraud because Sour, Guts, and Emails I Can't Send are all albums I stream on the regular, but I don't have any of the vinyls here to show it. But a lot of the songs in Sour seem to expand on more of Olivia's feelings about the relationship as a whole and how she felt seeing somebody that she loved move on with somebody else, which did at the very least inadvertently continue this media cycle, despite Olivia keeping it very vague as to the specific inspirations behind her songs. Finally, in December of 2021, Josh released 3 songs, all partial responses to this entire saga.
My label said to never waste a crisis.
You may be wondering why he had mostly been quiet this time, at least in terms of his releases, and that was because he almost died. In January, during the peak of this love triangle drama, Joshua collapsed from stress-induced heart failure and septic shock. He was admitted to the hospital for several days, and he speaks now about this moment as sort of an emotional reckoning for him.
You know, it was like a week of getting ill, getting sicker, and then it got to a point where I, to be quite honest, felt like I was having a heart attack.
Possibly because of the stress of this incident, or on top of everything else, he then remembered previously repressed memories of childhood abuse, which then led to a total crisis of his faith. So these songs speak to not only his experience with the love triangle or his relationship with Olivia, but also his own internal crisis that was sort of started inadvertently by all of this. Crisis is the song that seems to most directly respond to Driver's License.
You're messing with my life as a career move.
Where he says things like, "It's cool if you want me to play the bad guy, but don't go acting like I never loved you."
The hardest thing in this last year has just been biting my tongue. I cannot explain my side of the truth or explain defend myself without having to expose other people, without having to then be like, well, this is actually what happened and here's why. And so that was what was tough, is like, I don't want to do the same thing that's being done to me. That's not my goal. I'm not trying to tit for tat.
And in interviews at that time, he would say that artists, he wouldn't say who, have a responsibility to rein in their toxic fans.
I think a lot of times people will be like, well, don't blame artists, blame their fans. But I think we should really look at how much you are responsible as an artist for what conversations go on around your art. And I think, you know, obviously you can't control all of it, but the people who look up to you and are supporting you respect you, hopefully. And so that shouldn't be underestimated, I think.
And that sentiment carried through in some of these lyrics here.
Keep fanning the fire for the headlines.
To be clear, Olivia was never wrong to write about her heartbreak. In fact, they all did that. That's what all artists do. I do think that there should, even if there's not, be some common sense, like it goes without saying, that sending death threats to a teenage boy for, at worst, being a bad boyfriend, don't do that. Just don't send death threats at all, perhaps. Even though Olivia didn't name names and didn't directly encourage things, I do think it's valid for Josh to feel resentment when him and Sabrina both made public statements saying to leave people alone. Olivia did say that she didn't want girl-on-girl hate, but Josh noted that he would have been left out of that statement. Again, in an ideal world, fans would just have the sense not to act like this, but that is not the world that we live in. And I do think this was an exceptionally vicious response to songs that people wrote. And Sabrina spoke on this as well in her song Because I Liked a Boy, which I think much more successfully articulated Sabrina's perspective in the wake of all of this. Emails I Can't Send is such an underrated album. I'm sorry, it's Sabrina's best work. Vicious, Read Your Mind, Fast Times, and of course the deluxe tracks that she performed as the opening act for Taylor Swift. The way Taylor Swift is tangential to not one but two of these sagas is really something. Now, of course, Olivia and Sabrina are two of the biggest pop acts of our generation. Josh and Olivia posed together for a picture in 2022 before Olivia was unceremoniously written off of High School Musical, the series. Just recently, both Josh and Sabrina were seen at one of Olivia's concerts. And in 2025, we got the most grainy, unearthed footage of Olivia and Sabrina hugging at the Grammys. It is fascinating that this love triangle garnered just as much outrage, maybe even more as the previous ones, despite it just objectively being a much tamer situation. If you take the fans out of it, they just wrote songs. Mind you, people before used to openly make fun of one another on Saturday Night Live. But now we have people treating lyrics in songs as justification for harassing other people, and also just treating lyrics in songs like they're biblically accurate accounts of a relationship, when there's always going to be some amount of artistic deviation, and also just people have different perspectives on things. We don't know these people. We just need to allow, especially young people, to be publicly messy. But really all celebrities, please be messy again. I welcome it. Hold celebrities accountable for bigotry, crimes, absolutely. But interpersonal drama that we barely know about? When I think back to relationships and friendships I had when I was that age, did I act perfectly 100% of the time? Could I have been incredibly petty? Yes. And now, at my big age, I can look back and cringe on all of that. That's how you learn. Gonna be honest, if I had been receiving death threats while all of that was happening, that probably wouldn't have been the most productive, or hey, really necessary in any scenario. This kind of dynamic is cyclical, not just for rising pop stars, but really in life for everyone. This just happened to be played out, at least to some extent, in the public eye. It's also fascinating to look at these stories and see just how Disney teens' hold on adult media has really shifted over the years. Like with Lindsay Lohan or Miley Cyrus, these public feuds were big because those two were already fodder for especially lowbrow moral panic journalism. These Disney kids on their first albums were getting record sales and radio play on par with musicians who'd been out there for decades. Even Lindsay, whose singing career wasn't taken particularly seriously, it should have been, got up to 57 on the Hot 100. The Jonas Brothers, Hilary Duff, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, Miley Cyrus, they dominated the pop charts. I would like to think that Olivia and Sabrina would have eventually made it to where they are now regardless. They're certainly talented enough. But I also think it's fair to say that for a lot of adults, this story was their introduction to these two. Or at best, they only had a vague awareness about them prior. Even though this was the new generation, the faces of the Disney Channel at that time. All I Want's viral success, it only debuted at 90 on the Hot 100. Skin was Sabrina's first Hot 100 song after 5 albums, and that wasn't even a success that she felt comfortable celebrating at that time. This story broke with such a perfect storm of the pandemic stalling out the music industry and everyone being so starved for real person interaction that they all just forgot how to engage in a reasonable way with a story about young celebrities. But Olivia and Sabrina could have just as easily faded into obscurity after all of this, but they didn't. They became some of the biggest pop stars we have. And it wasn't Disney that did that for them, it was them. Also, sorry to Joshua Bassett, I did not forget that he exists. He just did not get the same momentum that they did, and his story is much more complicated, I think, after this scenario than Olivia and Sabrina's are. But to sum up the Disney love triangle curse, your relationship, like most young relationships, are doomed. But if you're lucky, you may just write the best pop music because of it. This exact scenario has been played out for centuries in the theater community. One guy that your high school English teacher is unsubtly obsessed with, and like 15 infinitely more talented girls fighting for the lead role and the one available man. History will always repeat itself. And that is all I have, folks. If you want to see more from me, I stream on Twitch a couple times a week, upload the VODs of that to my second channel. I also have a Patreon where I upload a monthly bonus video over there for the people who want to support me. And if you're not interested in any of that, that's cool, that's fine. But if you liked this video, you could feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.